so we should have our first people. Great. All right, we already have a lot of people who are on time on Friday. So congratulations, everybody, for being on time. This is quite great, especially for me, we're French, so I'm not necessarily on time, but we're gonna wait a few more minutes to get more people in. You are gonna be muted by default, and at the first during the first part of the talk, you're not gonna be able to unmute yourself. So we really give the floor to the speakers, but feel free to ask questions in the chat, and then at the end of the talk we can unmute people as well for more of a interactive Q&A. So let's just give it a few more minutes. It's 12:02 in Brooklyn, so I feel like a weatherman. 12:02 in Brooklyn, reporting back. All right. Okay. All right, Elena and Olimpia, you're still unmuted. You're good?
Yes, we are.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. All right. Well, I think we can start by So what I just said. So everybody is going to be muted for the sake of the conversation, but please put your camera on because it's still a virtual happy hour. So hopefully you have your drink of choice. Mine is water. It's a little boring, but it's 12 p.m. again. So hopefully it's a better, aperitif time where you are. But we're very happy to have you with us on Friday. For us as well, it's good to see some faces that we know and new faces as well. So it gives us a reason to put makeup on, which I was saying. I think if we didn't have the virtual meetups, I would never put a pants on. So this is great. And before I give the floor to our amazing moderator, Giulia, and her guest today, I wanted to quickly give the floor to Andrea Steuer with the fair manager for our next art fair, and is going to give you a few details and also about the next happy hour. So, Andrea, this is yours.
So hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us. We're very happy to have you all here. I'm Andrea Steuer and I'm the director of CADAF. We wanted just to let you know that we're very excited to announce that CADAF is going online for its first edition ever online, and that you can RSVP right now. It will be free for the public to join the fair. That's going to happen on June from the 25th to the 28th. And we hope to see you all there. So if you RSVP in a link I shared in the chat, it would be great. Also, our applications are still open. So if you're an artist or a gallery looking to apply, we really encourage you to do so. We also want to invite you next week to our next virtual happy hour, where we will be talking more about CADAF Online, and we will be showing our new, very excited platform. I'm seeing AJ here, so shout out to AJ. That is one of our amazing developers working on the product. So we can wait until next week to show you what we have been working on for the next months. And now I'll give the floor to Giulia and enjoy. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Andrea, and welcome everyone who's joined us today. I am very excited to have the two guests with us. I'd like to introduce Elena Zaccarelli, who is a friend and an ex-colleague. She is a specialist at Christie's in the contemporary art department. In particular, she focuses on Italian art and artists of the 20th century. With Elena is Olimpia, Ray Lopez, who is an art collector. So tonight or today, I'm sorry to say tonight because I'm in Europe. For us it's evening, but for everyone else who's New York is a day. So today or it's this evening, we'll have Olimpia, who will give us a perspective from a collector's point of view, because she's a young collector. She actually was working in the finance world, and she left finance to fully dedicate herself to the art. And she also founded her own company. It's called Oray Fine Arts, to help others collect or approaching the world of art and to start collecting. Without further ado, I just want to move back to Elena and actually ask her how her day job has changed at this time of, well, the coronavirus anyway, if there has been any change in her day-to-day job.
Thank you, Giulia. Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to this happy hour discussion. I'm very happy to have a chat with you, with Olimpia, Giulia, and all the team. So my day-to-day schedule has been changed quite a while, because I've been working from home since the beginning of March. It's been 2 months, more or less. And at the beginning, I was quite scared, because I love working surrounded by people. We are quite a big team in Italy, and we work a lot with colleagues all the day. So now it's basically myself, my husband, and the cats, which is lovely, but quite different from my daily basis. And this has been quite a tough impact in the first day, I have to be honest. But you know what is the good thing in my job is that basically I can work a lot from home. I can't meet client, which is as it is now, because I send a lot of emails every day. I have a lot of calls, and one of the new things I've seen is that the colleagues now don't send you emails, but maybe they video call you, which is nice, because you can have still a bit of human touch, and it's something that usually doesn't happen. I mean, Giulia, we write tons of email every day for everything, and now maybe we prefer making a call or a video call just to catch up and to see how the people are, what they are doing. So this is something quite nice. In terms of the job I'm doing, so the first step, of course, has been the communication with the client, because we had to change our sale calendar. Basically, we had to postpone all the live sales. So the first thing to do was to communicate to clients the strategy and the changes which will have impacted them all. The changes have been essentially postponing the live sales to the second semester. We are trying to have the first live sale in June, but still it's not 100% confirmed, because we have to wait and see, basically. And we have changed some live sales into online sales. So we have called the client to explain the situation and the change of platform. They are not going to be sold in live sale, so in one day at one time, but with an online sale, which is something a bit different we can talk to later. And then we had communicated to clients like the next step, what we are going to do now. So now we are going basically to wait and see, to understand what's going on with the world situation. And we are trying to promote all the virtual events, which are online sales and private sales. So we can have exhibition, we can have events. We are trying to do everything with the web or with the email or with the phone calls. This situation has also given us time to work on the old valuation, because we are updating a lot of old valuation of clients which have bought and collected lots during the years. Some of this value might have been changed in these years, because the market is always changing. So maybe they have bought a lot 20 years ago and now the value is higher, and this is a good time to update the number and call them and inform them, listen, your valuation has changed in numbers. Some of them are better, some of them are not, but this may be a good work to sell in the future if you want to consider it. And we are also receiving, especially in the last week, I will say, some calls from clients who are considering to sell in the future, which is something quite common, because maybe they want to have some quick cash flow, so they are deciding to sell part of the collection or some of the works, and they are calling us to understand which is the best strategy to sell. This will mean for us that good works are coming to the market, so we will raise the quality of the auction for sure. And I'm telling this to you because I want to feel something positive for the next month regarding this situation. I think that the art market can start again as soon as the condition will be okay to start with it, of course. But I think that, and I know that there are people who still want to buy. Maybe some of them are more looking for bargain in this period because there is less competition, of course. Less people are buying, so it's easier to find good stuff with a good price. And people are starting thinking about selling. So this is what we are doing in these days, along with 100 calls every day and meetings. That's common for everyone, I think.
Yes, I think exactly. So you said a couple of very interesting things that then I will go back to and maybe also ask Olimpia from her point of view as a collector what she thinks. And also, I mean, yes, we are here because we believe in the art world, in the art market anyway. So we want to feel that it's positive and that, perhaps it will go back to what we're used to, or it may be a different kind of market. But also from my experience, what I wanted to ask you before see what Olimpia thinks is that, I mean, the approach to online sales at Christie's has always been positive and negative. Some specialists, some clients, some collectors love them. Others were a little bit more resistant to them. Do you think that this approach has now changed? Do you think that now Christie's has finally embraced online sales and that online sales will be actually the one supporting the art market in this period and possibly allowing the art market to, to go back to the old days, so to speak?
So if you think to online sales, Christie's is been investing since 10 years on this kind of communication and way of selling. This is a way of selling we do believe a lot, but I confirm what you just said, that the most difficult client is the internal client. So we need to be all persuaded that the online sale is something good because the numbers are saying that it's really something good. I mean, in 2019, we have 1,600,000 visitors only for Christie's online, and almost 40% new buyers with the online. This is telling us that buying online is something that people want to do, especially the young generation, because it's a very easy and direct way of buying. I always say that a limit for the auction house could be that the people tend to be a bit scared about the auction house like Christie's because it's something very official and big. And I feel that they feel a bit scared about the idea of being in communication with somebody and being helped. It's like, I don't know, if I have to call a big fashion house, maybe I'm a bit worried about the fact that as these people deal with so many different clients, I can't get the attention I need. With the online sale, it's basically you. The client is creating an account and is doing everything by himself. So is asking for the information, is asking for the condition report, is asking for a shipping quote, is paying the invoice, is doing anything. I mean, we are not involved at all. And this makes things easier because the client can do it whenever he wants. So I feel that, sorry, Olimpia.
No, sorry, I didn't know about this. So you don't interact with the online client. The online client does not call the call center. He does not speak with any specialist. Is it right?
So, I mean, they could if they want some additional information or if they want an advice, but basically with the online only, you need just to create an account with your bank information, like for each website where you want to purchase something, and then you do everything by yourself. You can put an absentee bid, which is working on your behalf. You can just place a bid and you will receive a notification saying somebody has bid against you, so the lot is no more with you. So you will be updated time by time, and at the end you will receive the invoice and you will do everything by yourself. And this is exactly what I mean when I think to people who don't want to get in contact with the auction house because maybe they are scared, they don't want to speak. And I do believe that some of my colleagues, maybe I don't want to say the older, but let's say the less younger, are not 100% still into the online, because you always feel that there is something wrong in buying without seeing. But if you think about the telephone bid, most of the time you don't see the lot as well. You're just participating for an auction in New York. So it's exactly the same thing.
Or even at a fair, a big part of the sales in a fair are done through an image. So you are buying something, you are buying a work that it's not shown physically in the booth of the fair. So there are lots of sales that are in part online too.
There is a question, if I can raise the hand for that person, for Louise, was asking actually to increase the engagement online. Like, is Christie's looking into like more immersive gallery experience, like you know, like virtual gallery walkthroughs, or like very, very high resolution for digital images? Is there anything that you're aware of on this end?
Yes, we are doing these 365 views for the sale. So you can basically enter in the viewing room and see all the lots and click on the lots you want to enlarge and see the description of the lot. This is something, for instance, we always do for Amsterdam sale, because not many people go to Amsterdam for the auction, and the auction has a quite international taste, actually. So a lot of people would like to see the works, but they can't go there. So with this tour, you can basically be there. And this is something which works a lot. And then we are creating this private room, viewing room, let's call them, with a selection of the works of the highlights from an upcoming sale. And we are using this tool for the next sale as well, which is more or less the same thing that some galleries made. We were talking with Giulia Olimpia about Art Basel in Hong Kong, and we also saw those private room. You can enter online and see the works. So I think that this is something similar, and that will be a kind of way of showing works in the future, since we can show them in the flesh now.
Yeah, and even many galleries are developing virtual reality platforms to show their works. Most of these galleries, let's say, they are big because to develop this technology, it's very expensive. So only auction houses, or let's say the blue chip galleries, can afford it. And if you did not have the chance to look at it, I would recommend you to go to the new exhibition of Hauser and Wirth that it was launched yesterday. and I think it's fantastic. They are showing their new space that will be open next year in Menorca, and you have views of the gallery, you have views of the sea and the space it will be, and then you go inside the gallery and you can have a virtual experience there. It's
Olimpia,
really, really
I wanted
good.
to ask you on this sort of topic from a collector point of view. Do you think that now that we were sort of forced to experience art through technology, through the virtual reality, do you think is it finally replaced an art in the flesh, or is it now on the same level, whereas before collectors always preferred to see the works in the flesh, but now if they want to purchase 90% of the time they will have to do it digitally? What do you think from your point of view as a collector? If you were to buy something tomorrow, do you think that the technological experience will be the same as seeing the work in the flesh?
I believe that collectors are already very comfortable buying online. As we have discussed, they buy online through auction houses at first, and in my job as a dealer, I also show works in an image, so at the end I'm also selling online. For my experience, maybe there is a difference between new buyers and established collectors, and there is also a difference in the age. Younger audiences are more open to buy online, while older audiences prefer to see the work in person. And we also need to think about the value of the work. Maybe these works that are valued around or above $100,000, you want to experience them, you want to see them, and this thing will not change. But for works that are less valued, technology, I think it's great to buy them online.
So
I think
do you
that
think there's still like a barrier in a way? At some point there is a barrier due to value, for example, or age of collectors, and then we can see with Elena what her experience has been, as well with Christie's clients buying online, what kind of average age maybe they are. So, but from your point of view, there will always be
definitely
some kind of
there will be always barriers. I think if you can see a work in person and experience it, it's better, but it's not essential. And I've been buying a lot online, and almost everybody I know is buying online. So we will continue buying online.
Actually, there's a question from Eleanor who was asking if you think that that maybe the process of just translating the physical work into like a digital space might not work for a long time, and asking Elena if you think that that might get Christie's to put more efforts and have more interest into digital art, which might be a bit easier to, because it's a native digital work.
Already, yes.
So yes, actually, I can make you two examples. The first one is the first lot created by an algorithm that Christie's has already sold in 2018, and it was sold for nearly 14 times the height estimate. So that was a kind of very new thing. It was created by artificial intelligence, and it was sold in a print and multiples sale in October, and it was sold for over $400,000. I'm sending you the link so you can also see it. And the second thing is a big news for Christie's actually, but it's already on the web, so I'm happy to share with you. It's about a work by Marina Abramović. Christie's is going to sell in October 2020, and it will be the first work created with mixed reality. So as you may know, mixed reality is a bit different from virtual reality, because basically you are surrounded but your physical reality, and you have a virtual hologram, in this case of Marina Abramovic herself, who has created this work, which is called The Life, and it will be it has been created by Marina Abramovic after a reflection on the idea of the topic of the artist is present and the idea of immortality. So as you know, from The Artist is Present to many other Marina performances, there has always been this idea of the artist interacting with the client, with the auction. And in this case, you will buy one of the 3 exemplars of this 90-minute performance where the artist will be interacted with you. It will be sold in October with an estimate of 400 to 600,000 pounds, and it will be the first work of mixed reality sold ever. So yes, we are trying to, I'm sending also the other link, we are trying to interact with this new reality. Of course, it's a big step for the art collector. I'm aware of it. I'm the first one. I am a bit, I don't know if I want to buy that kind of art, but still I think this is the future of the art. So it's something very, very actual that we have to deal with.
Yes, thank you. As I told you both the other day, I also started collecting. It's a big word, but I bought a few works of digital arts because now that I'm closer to this field and I really believe in it as well, I find it amazing. So I think one of the what I've seen by delving deeper into the world of digital art or new media art is the lack of secondary market. Effectively, it's still a lot with galleries or artists and artist studio. So the fact that already 2 works have crossed from primary to secondary market, I think it's great. So hopefully we'll have more of it, as you know, especially after these sort of challenging months. And I wanted to go back to Olimpia about actually collecting also, because Elena, you said initially that you've received a lot of calls that collectors are active, or that you're doing a lot of repricing of artworks. So Olimpia, do you think it's a good time to buy now?
Yeah, I think it's a really good time to buy. I think that in the following months there will be many opportunities in the art market. Maybe the secondary market prices will kind of go down, and I think it's the right moment to buy those artists that there is a high demand of their work. For the ones that you don't know, galleries generally have waiting lists for artists that have a high demand. So they decide who they want to sell. Normally, first they sell to institutions and to important private collections. And then they decide who the rest of the people who they will decide who they sell. So now I think it's the right time to buy these artists. And I think we will be able to skip this waiting list and have access to works that we did not have the opportunity to buy in the last years. I think that online sales will increase. I think it's great what all the art fairs are doing, and all the viewing rooms are great. And it's really good because there is a kind of democratization of the art. When you go into a viewing room, you generally can see the prices of the works. And when you go to a physical space of a gallery, you generally need to ask for a director because the people in the desk office people, they are not allowed to give you prices. So there is a kind of barrier to ask prices. And I think that this is great. And at the end, this helps people to be more keen on buying art.
And the concept of the,
but do you think
sorry, Giulia,
sorry,
can I say something? Like, I want to add something to what Olimpia said, and I really agree with her. The concept of the waiting list, it's really interesting for the auction houses, because we have these two very easy examples, which are Hermes bags and Rolex watches. These are two items you can just pop in a shop and buy. You have to wait for a month at least. And since we are having online sales of bags and watches of this kind, that is an opportunity for the client not to wait for the waiting list. So these sales are at always good results and 100% sold or more or less, because the people can buy now. And this is something very important for collectors. As Olimpia said, the collectors don't want to wait. They want the works they love now. So if they have a chance to skip the queue, they will for sure go for that.
Yeah.
I think I agree. I agree with you both. But what I wanted to understand a little bit more is also the audience. I really like the idea of the democratization a little bit sort of the art world. So making the artworks accessible to everyone at any time, at any point in time, really. But going back to also what Olimpia was saying before about the value and maybe the age of collectors, and this is open to both of you, Olimpia and Elena, as a question. But have you seen or have you experienced the fact that generally online sales or online platforms, even Art Basel, the platform of the art fair, only attracts a certain demographics? Or have you seen that this is now slowly changing due to COVID-19? So if you want to buy art, you kind of have to do it online. So my question is, is the demographics, so the age of collectors who are attracted to these kind of platforms, and also the value of the works. If Elena, you've seen a change at Christie's, that Christie's increased the value of online sales, have they been successful?
Yes, so regarding the age, yes, we have made some very recent analysis, and we have seen that I have some numbers in front of me. So 88% of clients between 20 and 60 years are visiting the website, and this is something quite common. And then we have 80% of clients between 60 and 70 years visiting the website, which is something good. But we have 70% of clients over 70 years, who are now visiting the website. And this was something which was not happening before. So for sure, something has changed. And also in terms of value, I mean, another auction house, unfortunately not Christie's, has sold a work a couple of weeks for over £1 million in an online sale. And that was something quite groundbreaking, because usually, of course, the online sale don't have bigger value lots, because everyone prefers selling in the live sale, and is a kind of tradition, of course. You put the small cute thing in the online, and you put the big lots in the live sale. Now we have to change the strategy.
I think we can buy, sorry, Elena, I think that this will evolve. I think that this will evolve, and we will be able to, I mean, collectors will buy top-end lots online. I just think that you need to see the work, or at least know the artist work. I mean, if you have seen Kiefer before, if you have seen his materiality, if you have seen his work, you definitely can buy his work online. But if you have not seen it, I think it's difficult for top lots to buy them without experiencing them before.
Yeah, I agree with you, Olimpia. I feel that there is still some limit for the online sales, and this is one of the limits. So you can't buy everything if you don't know the things. For instance, we have a lot of online sales of wines because you don't have to see the wines to buy them. So you can spend also a lot of money for wine because you see the description and you exactly know what you're going to buy. For instance, we had a very nice online sale dedicated to Banksy last September, and the top lot was sold for over £400,000, which was a big result for us. But again, Banksy is not Kiefer, so I agree with what you said. Yeah. You can't buy everything. You have to know what you're buying, in my opinion, unless you're buying something very specific or something very easy to understand.
Mm-hmm.
We do have a question on just the term like democratization, and it's true that like Roberta is mentioning that yes, it still exclude 99% of the population, so that might be still the case. So I don't know if you have like some insights or comments on like maybe the increase of the core market, and that might not be the focus of Christie's specifically as an auction house and as a business, but maybe you have comments on other on the market in general, like opening a bit more via these online sales to the population who hasn't been collecting before.
Well, if you think about, for instance, the Saatchi sale we are organizing, we have this partnership with Saatchi, the art galleries in London, and in the last 2-3 years, he has offered a bunch of works made by artists. He has followed, sold, helped, and he was selling this lot to keep the gallery open for free and to help new artists with their work. So these works add value quite low. I mean, compared to the work Christie is selling, of course, but you can buy a lot for £3,000, for instance, but you had the chance that you were buying somebody Saatchi trusted as an artist. So you had a kind of advice about a new artist that had still a good price, but was somebody for one of the biggest galleries in the world. And we are going to have another one in May, which is going to be online again. And I think that is the kind of sale that I always suggest to the new collectors who ask me what I should buy, because as Olimpia know, I think, Olimpia, if you need to give an advice to new artists to buy, you are not looking into the auction market, of course. You are looking into the primary market, you are going to the artist studio. So this is another limit for the auction house, because as secondary market, we are selling the artists which had already had some art results. And the Saatchi sale is maybe one of the few chances to buy something quite new and to buy new artists who are going to increase their value in the next years.
Yes, thanks. Does that answer sort of the idea of, I think when we also mentioned the democratization, it's not necessarily that everyone is now kind of ready to buy art or feels that art is necessarily at the right sort of price level for everyone, but even from my point of view, the online sales have created less of a barrier to whoever wants to see what's out there and wants to start collecting, because it doesn't involve either, you know, walking into a gallery where you feel that everyone is kind of try to sell you the most expensive work, or an auction house where, as Elena said, there are artists with already an established market, so they might have higher prices, or you might have to have connections to go and visit the artist studio and to buy the artwork directly. But today there are so many different sort of online sales that give you different opportunities, or sort of art now with this situation of COVID-19, even art fairs going online, CADAF included, that will really open up to the audience. And I think it's easier for everyone to approach the art world if, you know, someone wants to. I think that was at least what I was thinking about, democratizing the art world. Olimpia, what do you think? Is that what you had in mind?
Yeah, I think an online platform is open to everybody. I think that it's great because you can see everything from super emerging artists to more established artists to the top, the high end of the end market of the art market. So I think this is great. I also think that we should, when I use the word democratization, I think that collectors and younger generations and even older, we should take risks to ask and go to auction houses, look what's going on, look online first, read content, and at some point be more engaged with art. Because if you don't look at it and you don't push yourself to read and to look,
And to learn,
you will only buy art. But I think that it's not about buying art, it's about being engaged about art, care about what you are buying. And for me, art is essential because it educates you, it teaches you, and I think that all of this is crucial for our well-being. So I hope everybody at some point will buy online, and we will be more engaged with art.
Thank you. I see that we have sort of another 50 minutes. And maybe we could open up to questions from the participants. Perhaps. I don't know, Fanny, I don't know if you want to open up the audio to everyone, or, you know, obviously participants can type their questions if they don't want to speak up.
I can allow you to unmute yourself. Oop. There you go.
Do we have any brave
power
of speaking? The power of speaking. Do we have any brave participants who would like to ask questions?
Hello to everyone. I work primarily digitally online. A quick question. There are some people might have heard of things like crypto vals, the online galleries. I'm sure people in the digital space would have. And then people like Super Rare who are selling non-fungible assets. Is there any chance that basically, which is like you take a physical artwork, you scan it, or you play around with it on screen, and then you sell it to your audience in a virtual gallery? The prices of NTFs, which is a whole different world altogether, it would take an hour to go into for some, not everyone, to explain it. But the prices have gone up quite considerably over time. Is there a possibility that people like the major auction houses are interested in assets like the non-fundable token and the digital token? Is there any sort of things moving more in that direction, or are collectors and the auction houses still going, we're not sure? That's my question.
So we're moving into blockchain.
Yeah,
Did I
yeah.
understand correctly?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
whether auction houses are open
Yeah,
to
yep.
potentially deep into sort of the blockchain.
Yes.
Well, Elena can tell more, but I mean, Christie did a collaboration with Archetti
Yep.
about a year ago. Obviously, that was slightly different in the sense that every artwork that was sold in a particular sale then
Yep.
also had an online sort of token that was
Yep.
given to the buyer, and then the certificate of the artwork was stored on the Archetti blockchain platform effectively.
Yep.
So that was one, the first time that Christie's approached the blockchain, but maybe Elena can tell us more about this. Yes.
Well, this is still an ongoing conversation. I mean, we are looking into all these new kind of elaborating and dealing with the artwork. Of course, we start from a most traditional point of view. So the struggle is to keep the traditional part of the auction house, and on another page to try to be as much as cutting edge as possible. So yes, this is something which may happen, but up to date we hadn't any other collaboration apart from the one that Giulia was speaking about. So it's still a bit too much for us, in my opinion, but I'm sure that we will get there. Of course, it's a bit more difficult for the auction house rather than maybe the galleries or the artists. So the secondary market is still a bit slow on this field.
Yeah, and if I can add, like, I used to work at Christie's, but I also enjoy a lot like these art and blockchain platforms. Obviously, I want to mention something on this like 3D world that you mentioned, like CryptoVoxel. I think this, like, if people don't know, it's a 3D world where you can not only showcase artworks, digital artworks, but you can build like your entire gallery. And I want to give a kind of a shout out to Eleanor Brezi, who made an exhibition last weekend for crypto art from Italy in this 3D world, and it was attended by 80 virtual people, and very, very advanced. I think this is like where it's still very niche, I would say, as much as I would love, like the sale of the AI generative artworks that Elena mentioned to be the norm. I think we still have to see that as the exception. Same thing with the Archetti collaboration that Christie's did. I think it was a great collaboration. I don't know if they will continue. I hope they will. But it's still they're testing, right? And they're in a position that it's a secondary market, so it also they're in a position that they can wait to see what really the standard becomes, because we're still exploring, right? And it's still quite of the wild west. And crypto art itself, it's like when you look at the collectors of crypto art, it's other crypto artists. So it's quite a tight community that like understand the technology, but also the aesthetic that is offered. And I mean, I'm a big fan and a big collector, so don't get me wrong, but I think we have to see it also positively, that it is how new movements appear and grow, and this is very well supported by a big community. And for that, to give my like digital art collector side, I think this is great to look into new digital artworks, because that's really where you can see the deals and invest early in that. So yeah, this is, but quite not secondary market at all.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know if Olimpia doesn't have anything to add on this topic. I don't think you've bought anything crypto art, right?
No,
Not yet.
I'm a more traditional collector.
Oh, wait, let's have a separate call, Olimpia.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
You will need to convince me.
Oh, yes. Very convincing.
I think we definitely have space for another question, if not two, if anyone else has.
I think Elena, like Elena, we had questions on the chat about using online platforms. So I guess it's both for maybe like Christie is like when you're doing partnerships with Sachi, or I think Artsy as well. Like you've done some sales on Artsy. Like what are you looking for? You know, like by doing these partnerships, or like how are you picking these partners? And maybe same question for Olimpia from a collector standpoint.
Well, Sachi was a kind of ongoing cooperation, which has been here since some years. And of course, he has been one of the main gallerists in the past year. So it was important for us to find somebody who had, first of all, a mission. As I said, is gathering money to keep the space open and for free. And on the other hand, could give us that contemporary feeling that maybe sometime the auction house is missing. So that was the idea. We try to have also very specific online sale. I don't know if you want to have a look to the website now. We have one with only photographs by Andy Warhol. So we have seen that putting a theme on the online sale can gather a more specific group of people, of course. So we prefer doing many auctions with smaller group, but a specific theme in order like to have a kind of small exhibition in a gallery, because the idea is like, if you go in a gallery, you maybe prefer to see a small group exhibition with a theme. And this is what we are trying to do also for the online auction.
Olimpia, from a collector standpoint, what are you looking for, like when you look, like search for art online?
When I generally, before buying online, I generally talk with the galleries if the artist has a representation. I generally buy artists that are being represented by a gallery. So I really like to go into a gallery, look, and look more, and read about the artist, read about its practice, understand what he's doing or she's doing, talk with the director of the gallery, talk with curators, and understand the importance of these artists in now. I think that now all of this has changed and we experience art in another way. So now I'm trying to do more reading and research, and for me it's like time to gather information and filter what good things are. But to buy something, I think that you need to be very knowledgeable and you need to love it. But I'm not very open to do spontaneous and decisions. I like to think a lot before buying something. And what Elena was saying, I think that about having information about the artist and content and a thematic, I think it's great because this is very engaging and it helps us collectors to have more interest in the work, in the artist, and in the story.
I have a question, if that's right.
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Kitty O'Leary. As context, I build partnerships at Facebook, and I'm a big believer that tech platforms have a responsibility to serve the art market by connecting artists to audiences and accelerating the supply and demand for art. So Elena and Olimpia, my question for you is, how do you envisage the roles that tech platforms could play in supporting artists, collectors, and commercial galleries at this time?
Well, I think that for the artists, I was doing a studio visit yesterday, and I was speaking with an artist. So I've asked him which is the impact of the social media, for instance, in his job. I mean, which percentage of clients is contacting him through Facebook or Instagram, and he told me that is 70% of clients were contacting him after seeing his Instagram stories or his Facebook post. So I think for the artist is something mandatory to arrive in a very easy and direct way to the clients and to promote themselves, because it's quite cheap as a way of promoting themselves and quite easy for the younger collectors, in my opinion. And I think that another need for the collectors, maybe in terms of platform, I don't know how much this could be applied to the platform you're looking at, Kitty, but for instance, we are offering this service to the collector, which is a kind of database for their works of art. Is a digital archive where they can put all the data regarding their works, and they can have everything with them. So is a digital archive for their collection. And this is something that is really useful, because a lot of our clients, especially not the younger ones, had all the information about the family collection. So there is always a lack of information about the painting they own. And the new generation are trying to put in digital everything in order to have all the information ready to go. So this kind of platform are very loved by the collectors because they are very useful for them.
I believe that regarding the artist and galleries perspective, from my point of view, I think that in social media there is a kind of there is no relation between the artist and the gallery in the content on Instagram or Facebook. I mean, what an artist posts is what he wants, and what the gallery is posting is to promote the artist. I think that there is a lack of relation between both, and maybe here there is potential, because at the end, the artist needs to be represented by a platform that helps him to grow and to succeed and nurtures him during his career. So now there is no relation between what the artist on his own is posting and with what the gallery wants to sell from him, what the gallery wants to promote. And maybe here there is potential for social media to create relations between artists and galleries.
If I can add something, I think having worked in the art world for art market for many years, one thing that is quite, I don't know if it's typical just for the art market, but it's actors of the market react much better when it's tools that are made for the art market itself than like just general tools that technically should be applied to any possible industry. But there've been like a lot of products, like Elena mentioned, like collection management systems or things that were like tailored like toward the art market that seem to be better accepted by people. So I agree with you. Like, I'm not saying these tools are better than like anything like from other industry. Actually, quite the contrary. But it's also where there is so much potential to make it better, and something the art market has like still like to develop is this more like social community aspect. I think this was very much lacking before. I mean, we're trying to do that with CADAF online, so I'm like, might not be the best impartial person to talk about this, but
no, you are.
This is something that needs to change, and that is kind of the silver lining of COVID-19, like the current crisis, which I hate when we call it like that, because when you think about it, this is also for technology companies. This is like hard times are the time where the best innovations comes through. And for the art market and art galleries, for example, it was always like nice to have a website like with like the online transactions, and like a small like Squarespace website would work and fine, like we can do the transaction a little here or there. Because we had the physical space. Now we don't. Hopefully we will again have it in the future. But the fact that we don't have it right now makes it a necessity to have something streamlined and that works. And hopefully we make something great and better that will last after the economy reopens. So it actually is for some things that we're all in that situation.
Yes, no, funny, I agree with you. It's not longer going to be a second tier, in a way, kind of experience. But I think after we will go back, because we will, to the physical experience, I think that the online and the technology would have played such an important role in this month that it will be just as important. A different kind of experience, but just as important, with the same value. I strongly believe that as well. Yes. Yeah. So that was my.
Thank you all for sharing.
No, thank you for the question.
We're reaching out like to the end of the hours. So just to if you wanna Elena and Olimpia, if you wanna give a final like statement or mic drop comment, anything to close the session, that would be great.
It was very interesting for me because I always love to know what's going on the other side of the auction market. So nice to speak with Olimpia as a collector and to you all, because it's always interesting also to have new input at this stage to understand what people are expecting from the art world.
Yeah, it was great. I think that we all need to sign in to CADAF and look at your works on June. And at the end, I think, and as I said, art is crucial for our well-being. And I think it's very important, and we should care about it and be surrounded by beautiful things.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for to all the participants. Thank you, Elena and Olimpia. It's been very interesting. Yes, and of course, don't forget all of you to RSVP to CADAF online. Yes, absolutely.
All right.
We'll see you
then. That was a mic drop. Final comment.
Well, you can say it again, Fanny. You can reiterate it. Yes.
I'm very curious to see what you will have.
So we will, for people who joined a little late, we mentioned that the next, Andrea mentioned that the next virtual happy hour would be next Thursday at the same time, and we will show like the first look at the platform for CADAF online. So yeah, next week. Exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right.
Thank you
well,
very much.
have
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a good weekend.
Bye.
What's the weekend?
Exactly. There's not like it's yesterday, today, and tomorrow, right? Like.
Yes.
All right. Well, enjoy.
Thank you, guys. It was a great discussion.
Grazie. Ciao.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.